Hey, what's up you guys? Today I'm doing the Barking Bout Books tag created by Break Even Books, which is a lot of words that start with B, and it is all about pets and mostly dogs. However, I don't have any dogs. I do have two guinea pigs though. So this is Silver, and I have another one called Kieran, which I'll try and get later, but he doesn't like being picked up as much. So the questions are just all about books, obviously, but they're also like themed about like pets. So I'm just going to go into it. This is a very casual video again because I have to sit on the floor to hold this little guy, and I don't know how much editing I'm going to do, to be honest, but anyway. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like, please subscribe, and let's just get started on the very first question. So question number one is, I've got a bone to pick with you. Name a book that was good until it wasn't. And for this I'm going to talk about an anthology of short stories, and that is The Call of Cthulhu and Other Weird Tales by H.P. Lovecraft. I read these a couple months ago and I didn't actually read all of them in the collection because I just thought they were kind of disappointing. I felt like every single short story started off really great with a lot of potential and like just kind of fizzled out. Like I think it lost the atmosphere like halfway through, and a lot of the times it was because he would introduce a lot of science into the stories. They were quite science fiction rather than just horror. They were like science horror, whatever you would call that. And I don't know, I just felt like whenever he went into scientific explanations of things, it made them less interesting and kind of took away the mystery and took away the like atmosphere of the stories. Like a lot of them did have creepy atmospheres, and then as soon as he started talking about the science stuff and like looking at it from like kind of an academic point of view, like because a lot of his main characters in the stories were all like academics and professors and scientists and things, like it just kind of lost interest to me, and I thought kind of fizzled out and went. A lot of potential was lost. Like a lot of them had a lot of potential and a lot of creepy atmosphere at the start, and then it kind of fizzled out. So question number two is, welcome home, name a book or series that gives you the warm feelings of home. And for this one I'm talking about the Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer. I just love the Twilight books, to be honest. Like I read them originally back in 2010, and then I read them back in like January or February this year for a YouTube video, and I forgot how much I loved them, and then when I read them for that video I was like, oh my god, I am a Twilight stan. And you know, ever since then I've kind of been obsessed. Like I've watched the movies a few times, like obviously I read Midnight Sun as soon as it came out, and the whole series just like, there's just so much nostalgia in them, and also like they're just comforting. Like characters are all like, you just love the characters, and like the setting, like Forks is such a nice setting, like the trees and just the atmosphere of the books. Like I just love it all, to be honest. And I know a lot of people think it's cringe, but I do love the Twilight Saga, and it does feel like home to me. It is a series that I'm going to reread quite a lot. I'm actually planning on rereading Midnight Sun in December because I read it so fast, like to get my review it fast. I feel like I didn't really properly take it in. So my December plan is to reread Midnight Sun and then reread Breaking Dawn, and I'm not gonna lie, I love it. Sorry, I keep laughing at his little face, like his little foot in the camera. Name a book that has a journey or a travel element in it, and for this I'm talking about The Stone of Destiny by Caroline Logan. And this is a Scottish inspired fantasy series which I read book 1 last month, and I just read book 2 which just came out this month, and I read it as soon as I got it. And it is a YA series and it follows a group of characters. The first one, they were trying to find a magical stone called the Stone of Destiny, and the second one again is another adventure. I don't want to go too much into that one now. I'm going to talk about a lot of my wrap up. I gave it 5 stars, I loved it, and they're just like a really fun series. Characters are great. The storyline for the first one was quite simple, but it really expanded near the end, and book 2 like expanded the world so much. It gave so much more world building and so much higher stakes. Like the stakes went so high in book 2, and I can't wait to see book 3, which I'm assuming will come out next year. Like I can't wait for it now. And yeah, if you want a more in-depth proper review, I talked about book 1 in my September wrap-up, and I will talk about book 2 in my October wrap-up. Question 4 is, marking your territory, name a book or series that you will always stand by no matter what. And for this one I'm actually going to talk about Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I hope that's how you say his name. I'm so bad at Russian names. But I feel like I always kind of have to defend this book because it is obviously a classic, like a literary classic, but a lot of people, because of its themes and because of what it represents in pop culture now, kind of write it off. And the whole point of the story, if you don't know, Lolita is about a paedophile who kidnaps a young girl and kind of takes her across America, and it's very dark, very serious, and it's written from the paedophile's point of view, so it is an unreliable narrator as he kind of tries to convince you that what he's doing is right, when obviously it is not. And a lot of people, because it's in the paedophile's point of view, kind of say like this book's disgusting and stuff, but like if you actually read it and read into what Nabokov is saying, obviously he does not condone it at all. Like he makes the Humbert, his name is the man, out to be like a terrible person, and I just feel like you always have to defend it because it is a very controversial book and people get really heated on the subject, and it doesn't help that in pop culture and stuff, Lolita is kind of being romanticized and stuff, but it's not meant to be romanticized. It's not a romantic book. Like, it is a book about a terrible, illegal, unmoral thing, but you know, culture has kind of twisted it, and I feel like you kind of have to defend it. But it is such a beautiful book. It is beautifully written and I love it. I read it twice or 3 times. I don't know. I actually plan on reading it again. I actually don't own it, which is weird. I need to own a copy of it because it is a really important book and just beautifully written. I've taken him back downstairs because he was not enjoying being held that much. But the next question is Digging Holes, a book that had some hidden secrets or had a big plot twist uncovered. And for this I'm going to talk about my favourite thriller, and also I don't know if I've even read any other thrillers. I always say it's my favourite and then I'm like, have I read any others? But Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn is one of my favourite books. I have never been more like angry at a book and like just more shocked in general than when I was reading Gone Girl. Somehow I avoided all the spoilers from like when the movie was super popular, and I just didn't know like where it was going. And then, oh my god, that book, like obviously I can't talk about it because it's a thriller, but if you have not read Gone Girl and you don't know what already happens, even if you do, like I'm going to reread it in January and I'm really looking forward to it because I think I'll still enjoy it even though I know what happens, just because I had such an emotional reaction to that book. I was so angry, I was so frustrated. Like, that book just had me on the edge of my seat. Like, I was finishing it when I was on the plane coming home from Ibiza, I think, and I was like so worried that the journey was going to end before I could finish the book. I was like reading as fast as I could because I could not stop reading it. If you have not read Gone Girl, I highly recommend it. It was such a good book. Next question is Stand By Me, name a book that portrayed a very loyal friendship between its characters. And for this one I'm going to talk about a self-published book by another booktuber slash author-tuber, mostly author-tuber, and that is Savvy Writes Books, and her book One Final Vinyl is about a young girl who has just graduated high school. She's 17, 18, and she hosts a graduation party and then no one shows up apart from this like 80-year-old, this elder woman anyway, who has left her care home and gotten lost, and they set out on a road trip together to return home. And it is such a pure, like, just nice book about like a multi-generational friendship, like this young girl and this old woman, and they just like learn each other's stories and learn lessons from each other, and it's such a nice story. I think I read it in like one sitting. Like, it's such a just cute book that I think everyone should pick up, especially because it is written by, you know, a fellow content creator on here, and I really enjoyed it. The next question is Tug of War, a book that you have very mixed feelings about, and I'm going to talk about Palo Alto by James Franco, the actor. He is also an author, and I read this when I was like 13 or 14 because there is a movie, which I love the movie to this day. Like, it is just one of those like atmospheric like teen angst movies. I just loved it. And anyway, back when I read the book, I really enjoyed it the first time, and then I reread it a few months ago just to see if I still liked it, because it was sitting on my Kindle and I was like, I'll try to give that another try, and I was like, not what I remembered. The writing was pretty bad at times. There were some really beautiful passages and then some really, really bad ones, and then the characters were so unlikable. There was so much like racism, homophobia, every other type of ism. It was all in this book, and it was all like the characters doing it, but then at the same time the characters never really got told like this is wrong or anything. It was just a very raw story, and in some ways I really respect that. Like, it wasn't trying to push any morals or any agendas. It was just like a glimpse into the life of these problematic teenagers in like the 90s in California, but at the same time it was not that well written, and I don't know, I feel like I was only giving it the benefit of the doubt the second time around because I loved it so much when I was younger. So I was like trying to find some redeeming qualities, but to be honest, it just wasn't that good. And the final question is Treats, a book that you're super excited about and would reward yourself by reading, and for this it is The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. I read the first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments series last month and absolutely loved it. And I am excited to move on to the Infernal Devices. I just recently bought it. I think it came in like the start of this week or end of last week. And I'm excited to get to it. Once I finish Dracula, which I'm starting today, I am then going to read the Infernal Devices and then the next 3 books in the Mortal Instruments. And I'm just super excited because I loved the first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments. I was not expecting to. I was expecting to think they were kind of trash, and then I was obsessed with them, to be honest. So I am really excited to read the Infernal Devices. And those were all of the questions. So I'm going to tag some of my friends. I'm going to tag Therese. I'll put like pictures here. So Therese, TB, Michaela, and Lisa. And then the rest of the group chat, if you want to do it, do it. And if you are just a random viewer and you want to do it, go ahead. I'm sure Eric would really appreciate it. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please subscribe. And I will put also in a picture of my other guinea pigs, if I remember, which hopefully I will. And I will see you in my next video.